The subconscious mind doesn't care if you're happy, sad, healthy, or unhealthy. All it cares about is that you're alive. That is its job. That is how the human being was designed. That's the point of the subconscious part of our physical body. So it says, I'm going to recreate the exact thing that I know I survived. So whether you think about like maybe you get like your business gets really successful and then shit hits the fan. Okay, we cuss, I'm sorry. Stuff hits the fan. You're like, well, I was going so well. Every time I go up, then I go down. Why is this? Your mind is like, I can't handle happy, profitable, abundant, easygoing. That's a new environment for me. So that is more scary to it than the stress and the unpredictability. So that's my example. Your subconscious mind, in this instance, thinks the stress and the unpredictability and you having to control everything and you caring too much more than you can possibly is it's recreating what you had to do as a child of an alcoholic. But it thinks it's a solution because, hey, I stayed alive then.
Speaking to Yvonne Trost today about the future of leadership when AI hits us all. Not only the future of happiness, the future of business models of companies. What are they going to be? What's the success of companies going to hinge on? Is it still going to be processes, systems, know-how that is anyhow going to be dissolved by AI? What is it? Hi, Yvonne. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I'm going to ask you about your story, but I do want to hear just with a few words about your overall vision of where we're going with the whole AI and the importance of the human focus in the company. Actually, the tagline of my company, Grownlearn, is success with a human focus. So I know very well what you're talking about, but I want to hear it from your perspective as well.
Absolutely. We are at such a pivotal moment, as everybody knows. Huge change. Change is happening faster than ever before. And so the key thing is going to be the ability to be dynamic as a human being and resilient. So no longer can your intellectual property or the widgets that you make, I mean, we're inventing new materials. Operating model transformation typically takes a really long time. And even after you go through it and you spend however much you spend, depending on the size of your company, your return on investment isn't always there. And people can get frustrated.
Yeah,
Why?
then comes the
Leaders
next
are like,
cycle. You
why?
have
I
to
just
go to
spent
the
all
next
this
transformation.
money. Just do what you're told and make it work. Guess what? That's not how human beings work. So I think there's two critical things for any business owner or operator to get out of this talk today. One is you can't keep doing the same thing that you've been doing for the past even 3 years. You have to be able to sense what's going on and change. AI can do so much that human beings used to do, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going from material production. It's going to be keep going from like even like they used to think about like, oh, well, there's machine learning and it can't do the uniquely human, intuitive thinking. Oh, yes, it can now. Not always accurate, but it can. So, what is going to differentiate you from your competitor if anybody can go in and type in what they need? We're all learning the same large language learning models. You can create your own and invest a ton of money in that, and it's still not going to be exponentially better than another large language learning model. So, what's going to differentiate you in the future? The thing that you're born with that didn't cost you a penny. Your internal human essence, who you are as a human being. Let me ask you this, Zorina. So we built AI. It's pretty complicated. Could you go off and build a large language learning model on your own?
Probably not. I
No,
can't
no, no.
even
I
program.
could, right?
Yeah.
What's the most complicated thing you can think of on the planet right now that we've made?
I have no clue. I don't know. Is it
Okay, let's go
AI? I
with,
don't think so. I don't know.
could be AI,
Could
could
be. I
be
don't know.
a spaceship if you believe they go, like it could be anything like that, right? Those are some pretty complicated things. To your knowledge, have we been able to clone another human being?
Not that I know, no.
No. So could we then say the most complicated thing, the most powerfully complex thing on this planet is the human being?
Yes,
Yes.
but not only the body, because we don't.
No,
I
I'm talking about the
assume, yeah,
mind, body, and
yeah,
spirit,
everything.
the things you can't even see.
Hmm.
Because Western society likes to compartmentalize, but you actually can't compartmentalize. You can go to the doctor for your body and you can go to a therapist for your mind, but you can't actually separate them. There is a deep connection between your mind, body, and spirit. And in order to maximize the power that you were designed with, you have to understand how it works together. You have to understand how the particular instance of you, the Zorina human being, works because it's different than the Yvonne human being. There's a large portion that's the same, but there's a good amount that's not. So I don't know about you. I did not get Human Being 101 in school or from my parents. Did you?
No,
No. Do they teach it in business school?
they don't teach it anywhere.
So here's the thing. If you're listening, don't just believe me, Google it. 95% of what you say, do, think, your whole personality by the time you're 35 years old is driven by your subconscious mind. It's on autopilot. You're not in control. Most of it is coded in your brain, those automatic programs, by the time you're 10. So you might look like a beautiful woman, an adult, but inside there's a
Can
10-year-old
of worms.
Zorina.
Just
There's a
kidding.
10-year-old Zorina calling the shots and running the show 95% of your day. I am not making this up. Modern science has proven it. So until you learn more about Human Being 101, until you start doing the self exploration, I do not call it work because it isn't work. It's actually exciting and fun. And you become like, oh my God, I think I have superpowers. Once you start doing the self exploration and you think about Human Being 101, and then you go to 201 and you keep going. So if you want to differentiate you as a leader, if you want to differentiate you as a leader of people, if you want to actually have humans working for you, whether they're coding the large language learning models or not, whatever it is, your differentiation, your superpower is going to be not because you went to some school for 4 years. I can just type something in AI and say, act as a blah, blah, blah that went to school for 4 years and has spent 30 years in industry and la, 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 la. And it comes up with 80% accurate things. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it gets me, I can be very, very dangerous with it. And if I'm confident and charismatic, you might actually know more than me, Zarina, but I might outsell you. I'll operate you. I can do a whole bunch of things. If you don't understand you, your mind, body, and spirit, there's no way you can understand the mind, body, spirit of anybody else. The relationships you have, either at home, at work, with colleagues, peers, competitors, you name it, have nothing to do with the other people. It has everything to do with the relationship you have with yourself.
I
And most people
personally
don't even know who
understand.
they are.
I personally perfectly understand you because I have another platform where I connect people to experts and I teach these things as well. So I am very well aware of what you're talking about. But my observation is that leaders, I mean, you said it. Let's see it as a game and as a wish. It's a good thing. Let's see it as a game. But the fact of the matter is that people see it as hard work. It's probably the hardest work to be self-observant and self-aware and to understand these things because you have to go through the pain. What is your view on that?
So there's a lot of concepts that I will share that perhaps won't come naturally to everybody right away. The first thing that I would say is that when you think of it as hard or as painful, it actually, the experiences you've had in your life, whether in your childhood or in your recent past or in your present, don't impact you. They don't. They can't make you sad. They can't make you mad. They can't make you angry. The only thing that can is the meaning you give those experiences.
Mhm.
So what I teach people how to do is how to take back the power of their imagination, take back the power of their own thoughts, to be the driver as the conscious adult, not as the scared 6-year-old subconscious, right? So that it isn't good or bad. It isn't hard or easy. It is whatever they make it, and they get to choose what they make it. So it doesn't take years. It doesn't even take months. I have a company called Limitless You, and we have blended together
Middle-less
hypnotherapy,
you, did you say? What was
limitless,
limitless you?
because we believe everybody is limitless,
Hmm. Hmm.
limitless you. So if you go to unlock limitlessyou.com, there's a ton of information, including free resources there that will take you through. You don't have to believe me. Just start experimenting. I would actually say, don't believe me. Don't believe me. Don't believe Zorina. Don't believe anybody on social media. Take the information we share with you and experiment in life. Go test it out. Don't take my word for it. I don't want you to do or believe anything you don't naturally want to, because how did that work for us in school? When you're like, memorize this and memorize that. How many of those things do you remember still?
Minus 100. Like
Yeah, not very many. So I believe in experiences. You only learn and embrace what's authentically natural and truth to you through experiences. So I'm an experience-based happiness coach and hypnotherapist where we help people realize what the experiences mean and don't mean. And you could ask anyone in my tribe. I have a tribe that I meet with weekly. I call it my tribe. It's a weekly mastermind. People that want to learn Human Being 101, 201, 301, and keep going and apply it to their life. Once you get through that initial, you know, 2, 3 sessions where we talk for a couple of hours, like maybe not even two, like even in the first one, like eyes start to open because it doesn't have to be hard and scary. The whole cliche, it's not cliche. I think Tony Robbins said it, but I don't think he invented it. Things happen for you, not to you. You don't just say it anymore. You actually believe it and you experience it. And you're like, oh, perhaps this thing wasn't ideal, but why is this happening for me? How am I going to grow? What am I going to learn? Because we weren't put on this planet just to grow businesses and to do operating model transformations.
Mhm.
This is Earth School, and we are all on Earth School to learn and grow as human beings. And we play different roles. But if we're not growing, what's happening to us?
We're retracting,
You're like stagnant or you're dying, really.
going backwards.
Yeah. So sometimes until you get comfortable with it, change can be uncomfortable. Once you get comfortable with it, and again, what did I say at the beginning? Resilience and being able to be dynamic is going to be the thing that's most important to business leaders. You need to be super comfortable with change, and you need to find a way so that you can embrace it. You can welcome it. You can attract it. I believe you need to get rid of 3 things. Probably more than that, but 3 is what I'm taught. 3 for now. 3 is what we can remember. Unless you're in mortal danger. That's the caveat. Getting rid of fear, getting rid of judgment of self or others, and getting rid of self-pity.
Before you dive into these, because I suppose you want to, let's
Whatever.
hear
I'm
your
here for you and
story.
the listeners, so whatever
Yes,
is helpful.
let's hear your story first. What brought you to this? And then maybe I personally want to hear what happens with your clients when they go through your program, because that's really inspiring and that excites people. And this is when they say, oh, yes, it's me. I can recognize myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk about this word. Um, and you're like, why are we talking about this for business? Guys, listen up. You got to wake up. if you think this kind of stuff doesn't matter, you need to wake up. I was a finance major. I did business and IT strategy transformation for 25 years. I've worked with federal agencies. I've worked with Fortune 500 companies. The thing that matters is the human beings. And you can connect and you can motivate and you can inspire only when you feel good about yourself, not just extrinsically, but intrinsically. So I didn't have big T trauma. I had little T trauma. I grew up in a town of 2,300, right? I didn't have a lot of diversity in culture where I grew up. I grew up in a place where everybody was kind of conservative, comfortable middle class, maybe poor farmers, but it was instilling a mindset where it was like, I want more for my kids, right? So my parents love me and I love them. Their well-intentioned actions
Mhm.
didn't necessarily play out for me in the short term. In the long term, the story's still being written. I was taught money doesn't grow on trees. I was taught you need to work hard. You need to work long hours. I had a job starting at 15. I had 3 in college and I graduated summa cum laude. Like I paid my own bills, all of it, right? I was taught to be independent, to be successful, I got grounded if I didn't get straight A's, and always compared to a classmate. My parents didn't show up for sports or things I was interested in because the only thing that mattered is that they fed me, they got me through school, they made sure they grounded me if I didn't get good grades so that I could go off to college and get a good job and then make money, get the house, get the family, and then I'd have the Facebook family. So if you're listening, I bet you can relate to that. Always being pushed to do more, be more. You're not enough. They don't say you're not enough, but as a child, you have 2 needs. One, you need to feel safe, right? So we have an attachment because we have to be taken care of. Infants can't feed themselves. People know that. The second one is authenticity. We don't know that. Like maybe in kindergarten, they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? But most of us after that, it was just like, well, do this and do that and wear this and talk like this and don't talk like this. And there was no like, who are you? What do you enjoy? What's your authentic self? That's why Zorina, I know a lot of C-suite people. They're lovely and they're miserable. They have a ton of money. They're either divorced, been divorced, or they're cheating, or they're out of shape. They have all sorts of problems too, because guess what? They're also human, but they're alone. It gets lonelier. The higher you get up in the organization, it gets lonelier. And
Actually,
you
there
don't
was a
feel, go
yeah.
ahead.
Actually, there was statistics not long ago. I can't even quote where I've seen it or where I've heard it, but it doesn't matter. It's stick in my mind that like a large majority of C-suite people come from families of alcoholics. And I recently spoke to somebody who was in the Navy, like a senior person in the Navy. Now he's an executive and has his own company and is also on the board of Best Robotics, the competition for children. And in his observation and what they teach them also about psychology in the Navy, he was a SEAL, Navy SEAL,
Okay.
and that's like the elitist
Yep.
Navy group. And he basically mentioned that there are 2 groups of successful people. One is people that come from very tough backgrounds, so people that were either, as I said, from the family of alcoholics or from the family where there was abuse. Because they want so much, they strive to overcome it, and so
Yeah.
they put everything they can to achieve this, and they reach the top. And the other group is people that were, as far as I remember from his explanation, people that were brought up in very strict but loving environments. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 groups that until now have made it to the C-suite. It's the type
Yes.
that shapes their psychology. So
Have
yeah.
did they measure, because they made it to the C-suite,
Yeah.
did they measure any factors around how happy they were or what kind of relationships they had?
No.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
We continue to grade based upon title Are you first in class? What title do you have? It'd be fascinating to me. I bet if you did a study, most of them are not completely happy.
Yes,
Most
and
of
I
them are
think
probably very unhappy. I would be very interested to see how many of them develop cancer because of the low-grade inflammation from the ongoing stress. I
mm,
would be very curious to see how many of them are involved in infidelity or have substance abuse. And
mm,
I'm asking that, I want people to listening, it's not their fault.
mm,
It's not their fault at all. No one was born with those problems. We were born perfect love and light. What happens is we're conditioned over time, especially under the age of 10, to believe certain stories about ourselves. So for children of alcoholics, there's a ton of like, you should look into codependency. There's a great book by Melody Beattie, Codependence, The New Codependency. But also when you are in a very unstable environment, right? Like that, a child doesn't know what's going to happen. A child feels like they have to have control. A child feels like they have to be the parent. They have to do it all of those things. So here again, if you remember just a few things, here's another thing to remember. This is complicated, but so powerful once you get it. Your subconscious mind, remember, which drives 95% of what you say, do, and think, believes that the problems you have are solutions to things it fears are worse.
can you give
So,
an example?
yeah, so let's go right into this. So
Mhm.
imagine, why do people want to be C-suite?
Exactly. The people that are striving for C-suite is to, until now, they're ego-driven, basically proving themselves that they can survive, that they can manage, that they are seen, I suppose.
Yeah. Do you think, do you think if they had a choice, they would say, I want to do this so that I work my life away, most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. I want to work all the hours. I want to have all the stress. I want to have more money than I can spend. Not all of them, depending on what company. Would they choose that? Probably not. They'd rather say, I would just like abundance to come to me. I want to work when I want to work. I want to do something I actually find interesting, right? Our subconscious mind, even if it actually doesn't care if you're happy, sad, healthy, unhealthy, it will reproduce the environment that it survived growing up. Your subconscious mind's own, guys, listen to this. You're like, this isn't business. This is business. This is you. This is the business of you. And if you're C-suite, you need to understand you so that you can drive your business. The subconscious mind doesn't care if you're happy, sad, healthy, or unhealthy. All it cares about is that you're alive. That is its job. That is how the human being was designed. That's the point of the subconscious part of our physical body. So it says, I'm going to recreate the exact thing that I know I survived. So whether you think about like maybe you get like your business gets really successful and then shit hits the fan. Okay, we cuss, I'm sorry. Stuff hits the fan. You're like, why was going so well? Every time I go up, then I go down. Why is this? Your mind is like, I can't handle happy, profitable, abundant, easygoing. That's a new environment for me. So that is more scary to it than the stress and the unpredictability. So that's my example. Your subconscious mind, in
Mm.
this instance, thinks the stress and the unpredictability and you having to control everything and you carrying too much more than you can possibly is it's recreating what you had to do as a child of an alcoholic. But it thinks it's a solution because, hey, I stayed alive then. It's risk averse. Your
Mhm.
subconscious mind is the most risk averse thing, and it believes change is risky, even if it's changing for the better. So, how I help people is I help them, I tell them I'm like a subconscious safari guide. So, we go on a safari and we find out what is at the root of whatever it is you want or you want to grow in a certain way and you can't, you've plateaued. Maybe you think, I'm happy. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm fine. You're limitless. So if you are stagnating or if you're receding, it's not your fault. There is a limiting belief buried in your subconscious that it believes and it is hanging on to, and it has been for years, that it thinks it has to keep you safe. So what we go back is we go into the safari, we see what it is, we see it for the truth of what it was. If you're listening and you know code, right? Think of it this way. We all can relate to this. You have an iPhone or some kind of smartphone, right, Zorina?
Yeah.
What would happen if you didn't upgrade your software to this phone? How would it work?
How long it will work? Probably a
How
year.
yeah. How well would it work? Would it operate optimally?
No, I would guess after a year and a half, it would stop working.
Stop working completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But even why every single upgrade, it would slowly degrade. You might not even notice that it's not working as well as it could. Your mind is no different. So think of your subconscious mind or your brain as the hardware, as your phone. We never upgrade it. So everyone that isn't upgrading their minds by figuring out what's the old code buried in their subconscious, and they're not going in and they're not upgrading it, and they're not learning about the power and all the capabilities. Like this phone has, like if you don't study it, like you're probably using 50% of what it can do that you're paying way too much money for. Your body's no different, your mind's no different, your spirit's no different. So that's what I'm talking about. Understanding your mind, body, spirit. It is your most powerful asset. Can't buy it. All you can do is spend time to learn about the power, to upgrade it, to release yourself so that you don't have to be a stressed CEO. You can actually live in flow and probably achieve greater abundance, greater success, greater financial wealth, and enjoy it while you're doing it and live longer. It's it's a really good return on investment proposition, isn't it? And then guess what?
Who are the typical people actually that come to you and realize that that's exactly what they need, that they want to be happy and this is going to help their business? Who believe you? Who are the people that believe you?
So
I know these have to be smart people. Who are the smart people?
So what I would say, people are like, oh, who's your market? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not marketing and sales. If you're a human being, this works. If you're not a human being, don't come to me. You have to be a human being and you have to be open to something being easier than you've ever thought it before. If you're like, oh, that's not going to work for me, blah, 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 don't come. I'm only one person. My partner's only one person. We don't have time for everybody that doesn't really want to like tap into the power of who they are and unlock limitless you. So the people that come to us are the people that you've heard people change from inspiration or desperation. We have both, right? We have people that have hit rock bottom, and we have people that are like, I know I'm so capable of more, but I keep hitting this plateau, or I keep doing this thing I know I shouldn't do, or I keep not doing the thing that I know I should do. And I know I can, I just need help. Those are the kind of people that come to us. So it's a spectrum. What I will say is, to date, for the folks that are coming from inspiration, it's more the entrepreneurs, right? It's the people that they believe in who they are, right? That's why a lot of them are entrepreneurs. They believe in themselves. They have very externally high confidence. Not everybody has it internally, but it's there and they gain it. If you look at the most successful and healthy, I might add, successful, I'm not just defining as business, financial bottom line success. I define success as internal and external success. If you look at those across the world, they are doing the things that I'm talking about, right? They are investing in their mind, body, and spirit health. If you look at the grand majority of corporate America, they're not. They think it's woo-woo. They don't believe it. A lot of them, not all of them. What I would say is, if you're in that big pool, I'll call it big pond, there's a huge ocean out there. So if you want to get out of the stagnant pond, if you want to swim into the ocean of possibility and you want to differentiate yourself, you're going to call me or somebody like me. You can go to unlocklimitlessyou.com/call. We'll do a free discovery. Go take this really interesting self-worth quiz. Answer it for real. Don't lie. Unlocklimitlessyou.com/quiz. It will help you understand your way of being with yourself, which is the most important. Most people don't understand or even know how they treat themselves, and the way of being with others. And that's how you're going to excel, if you want to use that word, and differentiate yourself in the marketplace. Because there's going to be more and more that are your like secret sauce or the tools in your tool belt that AI is going to be doing, and they're not going to need you for anymore. So you actually better figure out the power within and unlock it. And I'd be happy to help you do that.
Fantastic. You mentioned you're working with some people from the real estate industry.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they need specifically them, your truth?
So I am not from the real estate market. My partner is. What I have learned as a newcomer, there is a ton of risk. Like these are real estate investors, right? There's a ton of risk. They have to have a ton of confidence. They have to actually use like not only within their like direct influence of a team, but it's all people driven.
Yeah, it is. Lots of relationships.
Homeowners, even if they're doing commercial, it's all people driven. So they get that if they fail, they don't pay the bills, right? They're making huge bets. They're investing a lot of their own equity, right? And they have to deal with other human beings. So it's very, very important for them, right? And one of the other things I'm learning as a new entrepreneur, I've only been an entrepreneur for a year and a half. It is no joke, people. If you think the C-suite's hard, like, oh, like it's no joke. And you can work just as hard 24/7. And if it's not like if you don't, you have a big team usually to help you. A lot of the entrepreneurial organizations are smaller, and the people that are working for them, they don't have like the perfectly balanced pyramid, right? That you do in corporate America. So there's like you at the top and then all the middle management, right? And so like you can kind of breathe because you can kind of trust the people right beneath you. They don't have as big of a pyramid. Most entrepreneurs, like I mean some, right, that have scaled, right, and haven't gone public, but they don't have that. And so they have to rely on their particular instance of the human being more. And I think that's why it's so powerful for them. And anybody that we've helped, they're telling other people that they've helped, like, you got to do this. It doesn't require, like I said, doesn't require years, it doesn't even require months, doesn't require drugs, plant-based or otherwise. Like Western society doesn't want to, this is not a good business model. If you're thinking about business models, mine's not the best because I give you the key and I teach you how to unlock yourself and never go back. And then I still want you in my community, but I've just given you all the power that you need. But I'm doing this from my heart, not from, the financial statement reasons. So I'm happy to give you the key to unlock limitless you, to find greater joy and success, both at home and at work. It's fascinating. It's powerful. I wish everybody could do it. We should put this in schools. It's greatly needed.
I'm wondering now whether to take you on the question journey of your process and how exactly you do it. I don't want to hear your secrets clearly, but a little bit about the process, or whether we should talk about the transformations. What do you prefer? Transformations of your clients?
How about a little bit of both?
Yeah.
So to simplify it, right? If you're in business, people remember things in 3. So there's a lot of different things out there, whether you're going to a business coach or you're going to a therapist or you're going to a physical, whatever, like they're all working with a part of you. we work with a whole bit of you, and we believe that there's 3 steps. And a lot of people out there have 1 or 2 of them, but not very many have all 3 in the way that we do. So it's realize, recode, and rewrite. So realize, this is the awareness. You've heard the first step is awareness. Yes, it is. The problem that most people have is they're dealing just with the conscious mind. So you're just getting the awareness from your conscious mind, which only has like 5% seat at the table of the boardroom, right? So imagine you're at your board of directors and you only control 5% of them. And the other 95% want to do the exact opposite of the thing that you're proposing. How's that going to work out for you?
Fantastic.
Not very well. So the first step is the most important. It's to realize with your conscious and your subconscious mind. So like I said, we're going to go on a subconscious safari. We're going to see actually why those things that you want to do or you don't want to do, but you haven't been able to do, why you're stuck. We're going to get you unstuck. Awareness is key. You can't just live in your head and stop there. The second step is recode. That's where hypnosis and coherence, memory reconsolidation comes into play, things that we do, right? And if you're thinking about hypnosis and you're like, I don't want to bark like a dog or quack like a duck, you've seen stage hypnosis. It's not like that. It's like deeply guided meditation, basically.
I think nowadays everybody kind of I have the experience at least with everybody knowing what hypnosis is. Like the outdated notion of hypnosis is no longer there, I feel.
I beg to differ in my circles anyway. I have to explain it. I have to explain it quite a bit. So I'm just being careful. Better safe than incomplete.
Okay.
So then the next step is recode. Most people I ask Zorina what they want. I give them a magic wish. Like, what's your magic wish? And then we figure out why that magic wish is. And then we realize the original magic wish has nothing to do with what they really need or really want. It's just surface. We got to get down to the root of it, I call it. If you go to my website, there's a really cool thing called Getting to the Root of It. unlocklimitlessyou.com/resources. Go try it. And if you're like, I want to make $1 million or I want to be top 5 in my industry or whatever it is, use that solution to figure out why you want those things. Because quite often our compass is pointed not at the North Star. We'll go through business consulting and we'll figure out the North Star and we'll come up with some nice mission and vision statement. And it totally has nothing to do with what's inside.
Okay, let me ask you something at this point. I understand what you mean, but on the other hand, there's this other true concept that whatever you put your attention to, you materialize it. So it's basically seek and find. So once you ask the question, what's underneath, even if there's nothing serious underneath, your subconscious mind will come up with whatever reason and with whatever vision to give you a sense of a problem because you're looking for a problem.
Well, I would suggest you try my activity. It's free. I don't think it always comes up with a problem. I think it comes up with a purpose. Right? So I've done it. I do it all the time. I do it with I believe in all facets of your life. And just like we have a balanced scorecard in business, I have a balanced scorecard for my life and there's 8 facets. We have something called the Limitless Life Compass. You can also check that out on our website. Once you get, you're not just focusing just on work or just on health or just on family. You need to step back because otherwise you're going to get an A there and an F somewhere else, right? But back to your question or your point, when I thought about why do I want what I want, right? It came down to when I got to it, was I want deep, meaningful human connection. That's not a problem. That's a purpose.
Isn't this what we all want in the core? We all want to be loved.
I think so.
Yeah.
It happens to be my purpose, and this is why I do the work that I do, right? This is why I left the company that I left. I had a stable career. I was successful. It was fine. But I was shrinking on the inside. So going back, we did the realize, and then we're going to do the recode. Zorina, most people can tell me what they don't want with their magic wish, but not as many people can tell me what they do want. I want to be rid of this problem. I want to be rid of this person. I want to be rid of this amount of pounds. I want to, whatever. Usually they want to get rid of something. What I want to know is, what are you going to replace it with? So we're not running from something or running to something. And so we spend time thinking about, what do you really want to run to? And is it driven by your authentic core, or is it driven by your conditioning? So we have to get the right recode. What do you want to recode to? We're going to rip out those limiting beliefs at the roots. We don't want those weeds to grow anymore. And we're going to replace it with something that we're going to water. And that's what the recode's about. And then through the hypnosis and getting to the root of it and pulling it out, we start watering the seed. And then the rewrite is where you take action. So we have awareness. We have what we actually want to run to. And now we have to actually do something about it. And that's the rewrite. And so you get a personalized transformation recording. It won't make sense for anybody, not even the old you. It's whatever the new you is we're creating, right? The real you, actually, I should say. And then you have one-on-one and group coaching. People are like, oh, I don't like the group coaching. You don't have to go. I give that for free, but I think it's very powerful and you're missing out if you don't. But then you have one-on-one and group coaching where we meet weekly if your schedule allows it, a little bit longer if it doesn't, right? Maybe every other week, ideally weekly, but it doesn't require that. And we think about, how are you feeling? What are you observing with your new awareness? What's working, what's not working? And then I have a myriad of tools with healthy coping mechanisms for you to put in your tool belt. So you're not overworking anymore. You're not having a racing mind. You're not grabbing for the glass of wine. You're not binge watching Netflix. You're not cheating on your spouse. You're not, whatever it is, your go-to comfort coping mechanism that we do because we think that we're giving ourselves like something nice when actually we're damaging ourselves. We replace those with healthy coping mechanisms. And then I help you think about how might you apply it? How might you create it? Give you specific things to do in addition to the meditations. And then they start changing their life. And it's amazing. You can go to, if you don't take my word for it, I say this a million times, but I'm going to do it one more time. unlocklimitlessyou.com/reviews. Almost, not all of them, but a good amount of our clients have done the reviews. Not everybody feels comfortable telling these like really personal, deep stories with the public, but a lot of people have. Go check it out. They're on YouTube. They're on our website. Don't take my word for it. Just whatever you do, don't wait. Don't wait. Whether it's working with me or somebody else, this is not a nice to have. This is not if it happens to fit in your budget after the big IT transformation or the blah, 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 infrastructure upgrade, blah, blah, blah. Like that stuff isn't going to give you the return on the investment like this will. It really won't. I know it. I've observed it. I've helped people through it for 25 years. And it wasn't until we started implementing what I was explaining to Zorina, if you've not heard of Scaled Agile Safe for the enterprise, that agile transformation needs to involve humans, different ways of working, different ways of communicating, not just at the bottom, but top down, bottom up in a much different way than most folks that aren't operating in that way have. And that is the most successful transformation when you're not trying to manage your people, but you're inspiring them. And then they're leading themselves because they're so inspired and aligned. It isn't rocket science. It really isn't. However, it's not as widely spread as one would hope. Oh, I can't hear you. You're still on mute.
Can you share with us one of the transformations that you've experienced with, or that your clients have experienced? Like how has their lives changed?
Oh, so many. I actually have had many clients that have spent years in therapy, right? Or years in coaching, and it wasn't working. And so they were kind of like, I'm going to try it. So-and-so said, so I'm going to try it. And what they weren't able to achieve in years, they were able to do in 2 months. So first, I just want you to believe, right? And to go look at the reviews and to know that this actually doesn't take long. I will give you different categories and then you can pick which one. We have saved marriages. We have created like really business transformations because leaders became different types of leaders. We have people that had physical ailments that it wasn't even why they came to me, but then they just disappeared.
Mhm.
We've had relationships between parent and children change. We've had people that didn't feel comfortable in their own skin and had drinking problems because of it. Stop drinking, stop smoking. Not like the traditional hypnotherapy that you hear about, like the practical, thou shalt stop smoking. No, no, no. Because it actually has nothing to do with a cigarette. It has a reason to do with why you pick it up. So it runs the gamut. That's why I said I'm not really much of a marketing genius because it basically, if you're a human and you have something you're suffering with or something you've not been able to attain, it helps and it works. But ask me anything you want an example of, and I probably can tell you a story about it.
Yeah, the first one was good. Relationships.
Excellent. So we
Yeah.
have one of the, I call it tribe just because it becomes like a family. But one of them, he's like, you saved my marriage and you never even spoke to my wife. And the reason I like to share that one is because it's something to do with what I said earlier that most people don't get. It has nothing to do with the other people. It has nothing to do with the experiences. It has nothing to do with the fights. It has nothing to do with anything except the relationship you have with yourself. And so by helping him actually create a healing relationship with himself, because he was a child of narcissistic parents, they had a ton of money, but that child didn't get what he needed. And that's all it takes, guys. This doesn't take big T trauma. Everybody can use this type of exploration because there's not a single person out there that had a perfect childhood. And so that particular instance, by helping him understand why he felt he needed to be successful, why felt he needed to make all the money, why he felt like he needed to take things personally or felt judged, right? Totally transformed his relationship. And now he's madly in love with a wife he's been married with forever. And we never even spoke to her,
Fantastic. Yeah.
right? The other thing is I actually have a lot of times what will happen is we'll have one person or both people will go through our individual program. It's only 5 weeks if you meet every week. I give you 2 months of the group stuff just so you could always stay with me and connected. And then you can extend it after that if you so choose. My goal is I want you to, but you don't need to. It's a want versus a need because you want to keep growing. We have a relationship program because once you figure out who you are, you have to reintroduce yourself to the person you're in the relationship with. Even if Zorina, like say you did something, say you had narcissistic behaviors, or say you manipulated, or say you got sad or threw adult temper tantrums or whatever it is, and you think if I got rid of those, that your partner would be happy. They don't know what to do with it because they're so used to it. And then it's just this very fascinating dynamic. Even when somebody changes for the better, they have to relate to people that don't understand that change because they've not gone through it themselves. So it's ideal if both partners go through it. But even if they don't, right? We help people navigate their world because it's like you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I believe that. If you're not around people that have done the exploration and the growth that you have, they'll want to try and bring you back down because they don't get it. And they're afraid of it and they're going to judge it. Remember the things I said we need to get rid of: fear, judgment, and self-pity. They're going to be afraid, they're going to judge, and they're going to have self-pity. And so we have a limitless relationships program that I also help couples with. And I literally had another couple. The gentleman had gone through the program. The wife didn't believe she would get anything out of it. She'd been through therapy. She's written a book about her childhood trauma. She thought she had done it all. But they're about ready to get a divorce. So this was kind of, remember, inspiration, desperation. The divorce never happened. They learned it had nothing to do with what they were fighting about and everything to do with how each of them felt about themselves. And so I guided them in how can they connect it to themselves, and then guided them on how they can connect to each other now as healed. There's this lovely, somebody just did this post on Facebook, and imagine like a scale. And on one side is a woman and one side is a man, or whatever partner combination you want to think about. And the man's heart is full. And so he walks towards the woman, but the woman's heart isn't full, and it's tips and things go crazy. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to go back here because that didn't feel good. He retreats. And then the woman's eventually his heart gets full and she walks, but he's still wounded from the rejection. And so it gets shaky. And it's not until two people heal and are full of self-love that they can come to connect and deeply connect in a healthy way. And so those are other examples of relationship work that we've done, both for individuals as well as couples, and then also with singles. People that are out there chasing on every dating app, chasing. What I teach people is stop chasing and start attracting. And the only way to attract, right, is to be what you want. So if you want somebody that loves you unconditionally, you have to love yourself unconditionally. In the workplace, if you want your team to trust you unconditionally, you got to trust yourself unconditionally. Not from like because you are conceited, but that you are intuition guided and you know what you need to do. So we don't get what we want, we get what we are. And we help you be what you are. And what I want is not what you want, is not what one of your listeners wants if you're listening. That's why it's tailored to every individual human being. And it can work for every human being. All we have to know is what's your magic wish? And are you open to believing that you can actually make it reality? And then we just start attracting, and it's the best job ever.
Fantastic. I know what you mean. Okay, so one last question, and then I let you go. It was quite an extensive and enriching conversation. When you say you're in hypnotherapy and you're using hypnosis, do you use a particular methodology that exists, or have you developed this? Is it your proprietary and your partner's methodology?
So we are trained and certified underneath Marissa Peer. I don't know if you've heard of her, but she's amazing. Yeah. So
transformational hypnotherapy.
Yeah, rapid transformation. And she combined multiple, because she was a therapist for a long time and it wasn't working. And so that's why she engaged in hypnotherapy. And then she created a special combination of different tools and methods where you can get rapid change. And I love it. I love it. What I would say is we've added to it. What we have found is that there's something called memory consolidation or coherence therapy. So in RTT, Marissa's method, they don't necessarily teach you that, right? And so we've blended them. So we've blended those as well as, I have extensive experience in consulting and transformation of large teams and individuals. So, and my partner has years of experience as an entrepreneur and creating a successful real estate investment company, which not a lot of them out there, right, that have been in business for over 20 years, like his has been. So obviously we bring our experience, right, to that. So it's not just like you go to school, right, and you don't actually know what the real thing is. Because what I would tell you, if you're out there and you're like, I need some help, I need some support, don't go to the person that says they've had a perfect life and they have it all figured out. They can't possibly understand you. So I think, you can take the methods of the off the shelf, but then you have to add the human experience, right? Which Brad and I bring. And that is very powerful when you put all those together. And the other nice thing is we are passionate about neuroscience and modern science. I'm also a certified yoga instructor and Ayurveda enthusiast. So what you will find is that there are these common golden threads of truth. Whether you're talking about ancient wisdom, Eastern medicine or neuroscience. Neuroscience and a lot of modern science is just proving what a lot of the ancients have known for years. It's just our human mind wanted data, we wanted proof. And so what we're able to do is find and take all the golden threads that they can't possibly get through the school system and teach the therapists and the psychologists and everybody fast enough. So we are constantly refreshing that blend of what I was talking about with what we're discovering as we discover more and more about the human being, the mind, body, and spirit, and what we've known for thousands of years.
Fantastic. Yvonne, once again, how can people get a hold of you, join your groups, get a consultation?
Sure. Yeah, go to unlocklimitlessyou.com, or you can search us on YouTube under Limitless You. We're on all the platforms. What I would say is, first step is go to unlocklimitlessyou.com and check out our free resources. There's also like a the quiz that I told you about, and a place to book a call. So check it out. If it interests you, or you want to say, hey, I started using this resource and I kind of ran into what do I do with this? Or where do I go from here? Or what does this mean? Unlocklimitlessyou.com/call. Just book a call with me. And the first session it's yours for free because I want everybody to be able to come limitless. So we'll do discovery together on what you know, what you don't know, and whether you decide to work in our programs. We have both one-on-one programs, we have group programs, we have relationships, or if you just want to dabble in meditation, there's a bunch of different ways for you to get started, right? No matter how much time you have or how much money you have, we've made it accessible for everybody to get started to unlock their limitless selves.
Fantastic. It was a very insightful conversation and I enjoyed it.
Thank
Good fun
you.
talking to you,
It's a
Yvonne.
pleasure.